It's the country's #1 RVing radio show, sponsored by RVTravel.com, with your host, Alan Warren, the RV Wingman.
You know, I try and focus on the positive, fun parts of RVing. I really do. But as the RV Wingman, from time to time, I feel like I have to bring up some things that are not really positive. In fact, they're a little bit scary. In this case, they could be downright even deadly. They really could. But before we tell you exactly what this potentially lethal situation is or was, we need to set up the story. On our guest line are our friends from RV Love, Marc and Julie Bennett. Hi, guys.
Hey, Alan. How's it going?
Hi, Alan.
Doing great. So I watched your video on this that you just released, what could be a really scary situation. Before we get too far into it, you guys have been living full-time in your RV for 5 years. Have you ever had anything like this happen to you in the last 5 years?
Well, a few years ago, we had something that was pretty hair-raising. You know, we had what was a piece of our suspension came loose on our first motorhome, and it sounded like a big metal box was underneath the coach tumbling. That raised the adrenaline a bit for sure. But this was a whole new experience. We had a lot of physical movement from the motorhome, which was a whole another level of concern.
Yeah, it was actually, Alan, on the day of our 5-year anniversary on the road, June 19th. And we were driving from New Jersey up to New York, and we just crossed over into the New York state line, and it was less than 5 minutes. It was raining, and then the coach started wobbling, and honestly, it felt like the wheels were going to fall off. I had no idea what was going on, but I thought that was the end of our RV.
So I watched in the. You must have that camera like at the ready all the time, Julie Bennett, because it was pouring down rain. You can see it as it's actually happened. Traffic, cars going everywhere, and the look of what in the world is happening on both of your faces was, you could tell it was genuine. On the scary scale, that had to rank pretty high up there until you figured out what it was, right?
Well, the unknown, I think, is always the scariest part. And, New York is not our favorite place to drive anywhere near New York's upstate New York is where it's a bit more rural. That's beautiful. But anywhere near the city is just 5 minutes before I'd said to Marc, how do you feel driving a big 40-foot motorhome in New York? And what was your answer, hon?
You just got to be really engaged, because the roads, they're generally not very many shoulders. Some of the roads are super narrow and
high
traffic. Some of the lower bridges on the East Coast in big cities. So
just unfamiliar. As an RVer, you're always in unfamiliar territory, and I think that's what sometimes heightens a lot of the issues that happen for us out there in our RVs. If you're living in your regular neighborhood and say your car breaks down, it's not, I would imagine as scary. It certainly hasn't been in the past when I've broken out because I'm close to home in a familiar environment. But in an unfamiliar environment, it's a
whole another level.
Okay,
yeah.
so just describe what you're doing. You're driving along. Life is great. You're celebrating your 5th Nomadversary. Everything's good, and then all of a sudden the coach started doing what?
Well, I started hearing a sound like a thump, 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 like that was a dead tire or something. But I realized my tire pressure monitoring system said that everything was fine with that. And then I started getting a wobbling, shaking sound of where the motorhome was weaving or wobbling back and forth. And it started getting more and more. And it seemed speed sensitive, so I started slowing down, and it still was there, but it was slowing down the speed of it. But really unsettling because you're feeling it in the wheel, you're feeling the motorhome move.
Could you feel it, Julie, in the passenger side?
Oh, my gosh, yes. You might recall a little bit in that video where, the actual camera went down onto my lap, and I left that in there intentionally so people could see that in the stress of the moment, my focus wasn't on capturing the footage. It was just like, are you okay? Can we pull over here? Because we were both, Marc's a pretty cool, calm character, Alan. He's very good at staying calm in stressful situations, but we were both, I was more panicked, I think, because I'm not as good at staying as calm as Marc, but I think it definitely gave us both a fright. And just at first we were going over this bridge and we're going over the expansion joints, and we thought it was the road. And then it kept going. And then we're like, okay, this isn't stopping now. And, I think I said in the video, like, it felt like the wheels were about to go.
Yeah, or that the suspension was failing. Something.
Yeah, I felt like the axle was broken in half or something. We got a 20-year-old motorhome. And,
but then you had to pull over in New York on the side where the traffic is flying by you. The weather is raining like crazy. that was probably a scary deal. And so you got out, you checked things, you couldn't find a problem. Take us to what happened next.
Yeah, well, I pulled over there, had the emergency flashers on, put the cones out so I could have a quick look, and had a safety vest on so I could help a little bit with visibility in the rain. But I did a first look around. You couldn't see anything wrong with the coach right away. And then so we started looking at ways to try and find a safer place to have a better look,
Yeah, because we figured even calling roadside assistance, Alan, if we had to get towed, it was just a really bad place to do that because you got semis flying by. As you say, there's traffic everywhere and rain, and just would have been you could feel the coach rocking as the traffic flew by. So even if we needed to get hooked up and get towed, it would have been really challenging to do that there. And so one of the things we learned in our breakdown a few years ago was one of the things that they recommend you do is call 911. Now, we didn't do that because it's to get your law enforcement to help you get to a safer place.
Mm-hmm.
But, what we did, what Marc did is he brought up Google Maps and just had a look because he knew, he's always paying attention to the signs. And you saw an exit,
I knew there was an exit coming up in less than a mile, and so I wanted to see if there was something at that exit that I would still be able to navigate with our larger RV and find a place that would have a parking lot or something that had a big enough space to pull over and get a good look.
And we did. There was like a big, it was formerly a mall that had closed down, so it was a big space. And once he fired it up and started driving the coach really slowly, the shaking, the violent shaking had stopped.
Mm-hmm.
But you still didn't know what it was. That had to be an unsettling feeling, right?
It was definitely unsettling because, one of the worst things about having something go wrong is to not know the cause, right? Because you don't know if it's going to have a reoccurrence, right? And you might have a reoccurrence in a situation where there is no shoulder or there is no better safe place, So we had a couple hundred miles yet to go that evening, so it was. It was a little unsettling trying to get back onto the road without knowing what went wrong.
When did you finally figure it out, isolate it, and you were able to diagnose what the problem was? And here's the deal, folks. I want you to go and watch this video. You need to watch it just so you know. It's not a long video, but it's very telling of what can happen. And, there's some takeaways, I think, from this we're going to get to in a second. But you need to go to the RV Love YouTube channel and check it out. And but when did you finally figure out what it was?
Well, we still weren't able to figure something out when we pulled in the parking lot and did some figure eights, and everything still seemed responding fine. We didn't it didn't really all click until later that night when we stopped at, a couple hundred miles later. We were stopped for the night in the Walmart parking lot, and that's when things started coming together. I started disconnecting that told you.
You have to watch the video to get what happened.
You have to watch this video, folks. So the big takeaway from this is what, Marc and Julie? The big takeaway that for you and for our listeners and viewers is what?
Well, for me, just try and stay as calm as possible when you have a situation because, when you stay calm, you're going to be thinking more clearly. You're going to be able to be more safe and, make some better decisions. If you get too wound up, just try and keep yourself as calm as possible. And I know it's funny because when a lot of people don't calm down when you say calm down, but if you go into the mindset in advance that you're going to just stay calm and make good decisions, I think that's one of the biggest takeaways. And then just get to a safe place to be able to get more information.
And sometimes you're not able to do that. We always recommend people have good roadside assistance with a towing package and make sure that it's a towing package for your RV because that can be really expensive. We did have a tow coming up close to a year ago now, and it only got towed 8 miles, and we didn't have to pay a cent because of our roadside assistance, but it would have been $600 to tow it 8 miles.
Wow.
Yeah, a big motorhome.
Yeah, it's expensive. Mm-hmm. And, with a motorhome, of course, with towables, you still, if your truck's out of action, you still need to get something.
Yeah, but you don't need the big wreckers, though.
Yeah, we had to have the big
wrecker
had to do
that. High hourly rate.
But the other thing, I think, the lesson there is just, even if you have got roadside assistance, which we've always had and we have used, I would say at least half, if not 2/3 of the time, we end up troubleshooting it ourselves because sometimes there's a long delay with roadside assistance. There was that one time in Phoenix a few years ago, they couldn't even send us the tow because they didn't know where to take it because it was late on Saturday afternoon. They said, well, everywhere's closed. We don't know where to take you. So we've had to troubleshoot our own solution a lot of the time. And as like Marc said, staying calm. We've actually got a free safety breakdown checklist that people can grab, and it's a
Listen,
great.
we got to leave it there. We're gonna give a
Yeah.
link to your channel. Thank you so much. Y'all
Great.
be safe. Thanks for sharing your story. Okay.
Thanks, Alan. Always good to
Troy.
see you.
Always great to chat.
All right, we'll talk soon, folks. That's RV Love. You need to check out the YouTube channel. Watch this video. The title of the video: Something's Very Wrong. Again, it's on RV Love on YouTube. As we do every week, I want to thank all of our guests. Help make today's show possible, be one of our best shows possible. And thanks to our great sponsors. We appreciate it. Goose is nodding, saying, wrap it up, brother, so I'm going to wrap it up. I'm Alan Warren, the RV Wingman. Don't forget to leave your good manners. Don't leave your good manners at home. Come on, Alan. Go.
The